You are listening to Married to the Game. I am Joe Skirtle alongside Nick Mac, Daddy Mac, and Brian Bolster. And I have a confession to make. The Rams might be good. And I know I've been the biggest hater on the Rams. I still don't like Jared Goff. He's still massively overpaid. 140 million to just throw 1 to 2 picks every game. I get that, but they have a great coach. They have a great defense. They have great wide receivers, and they beat the Buccaneers 27-24 last night on Monday Night Football. I'm worried with the Buccaneers, but Mac Daddy, are the Rams for real? Like, they look pretty damn good to me, and they have a real good opportunity to win once again this week against an injury-prone 49ers team.
First of all, Joe, I love how you said that. You said the Rams could be good. I would go out and say after beating Seattle and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back-to-back weeks, they're pretty damn good. Leading that NFC West. Jared Goff, yeah, he looks all right. He's thrown for 375 yards. Threw a couple picks last night. A pretty damn nice play from Jason Eight Fingers Pierre-Paul. You know, the Buccaneers are scaring me a lot. They couldn't get anything established in the run game last night. No run game from Ronald Jones. No protection for Tom Brady. Tom Brady was under a lot of duress, throwing pop-ups to the secondary. A couple of really ugly picks. Also a very nice play by the Rams defense, fooling Brady on the robber there. But as for the Rams, man, their defense is finally starting to step up. Aaron Donald, man. I mean, I don't even have to mention that guy, but Aaron Donald is all world. And he just throws offensive lines and offensive schemes off the rails every time he steps on the field. Ebukam made a couple nice plays. Jalen Ramsey playing some nice D in the second half on Mike Evans. The Rams definitely look like the real deal this year. Do they make it back to another Super Bowl? I don't know, but it's 2020. Anything can happen.
The Rams are the best team in the NFC West right now. And I'm sorry, Joe, I know you don't like Jared Goff, but at least through 11 weeks, you got to eat it. 16 touchdowns and 8 picks, 67% completion. He's been awesome. I get he hasn't been perfect, but he's been that number 10-ish quarterback in the league. And then the defense has been elite. They've been absolutely elite, a top 3 defense in the league. And if they continue that, they're going to make a run in the playoffs, without a doubt. They have one of the best coaches. If they're able to protect Jared Goff, he is a fringe top 10 quarterback without a doubt. You pair that with a top defense, you're making noise in the playoffs. So for me, the Rams are not only a real contender, but in my eyes, the best team in the NFC West until Seattle proves that their defensive performance against Arizona on Thursday night wasn't just a one-time thing.
I mean, hats off to the Rams 7-3, but I'm not celebrating 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for 140 plus million. Man, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. And I'm a man of my word. He still is not a good quarterback. He has everything around him. Everything. Okay. So sorry. I had to get that off my chest. I know you're shaking your head over there, Brian, but that's just how I feel. 2020, whatever, celebrate all you want. You got to find something to celebrate. So I guess 16 touchdowns and 8 interceptions at this point is something to celebrate. But let's talk about the Ravens. I mean, man, oh man, they're in big panic. They lose against the Patriots 2 weeks back, who then lost against the 2-7, now 3-7 Texans. And then they lose a heartbreaking overtime loss to the Titans. Derrick Henry game-winning touchdown. And they kind of had that game in the bag. They should have won that game, and they blew it. And it doesn't get much better. They're going to play the 10-0 Steelers, who I think is going to roll over them, and I'm absolutely panicking if I'm the Ravens. To start it off, you lose your top 2 running backs. Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins have COVID-19. That's not good. You depend on your running game. And then you look at the passing game, your deep threat can't get used because your quarterback can't throw the ball deep, and Mark Andrews is the only reliable weapon, and when you play good defenses, he's going to be knocked out of the game. And especially this week, that's exactly what's going to happen. He's the only guy you have to plan for. So I am panicking for the Ravens, and it's not a sure thing. They lose this week at 6-5. It's not a sure thing that they get to the playoffs, and especially losing against the Patriots could end up haunting them if the Patriots do make a run, which I don't think they will. But anyway, I'm panicking if I'm the Ravens, and if they do not make the playoffs, I am so intrigued of what's going to happen going forward with that team. Brian, are you panicking over the Ravens here?
Not panicking yet. I think if I'm a Ravens fan, I'm panicking over Lamar Jackson. But as far as the team for the year 2020, I'm really nervous, but I'm not panicking. I'm still pretty hopeful as a Ravens fan that they'll be able to beat the Steelers. I really think that if we look back at their previous matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers had no business winning that game. The Ravens should have absolutely dominated if it wasn't for some Lamar Jackson gaffes. So to me, that's the concern, Lamar Jackson. And moving forward, if he's going to really be that franchise quarterback, or is he going to be a middle tier guy that goes hot and cold? The defense is still excellent. So I think when you have that, you've got to hit pause for a little bit. Now, if they lose to the Steelers, yes, it's time to panic.
Brian, you hit the nail on the head with one thing, but as we sit here right now, we all know the Baltimore Ravens identity. They are a run-first team. They're going to throw in some razzle-dazzle in the backfield, some, pass-run options with Lamar Jackson. But the thing about pass-run options is you have to be intimidated by the pass threat. And right now, no one's intimidated by Lamar Jackson's pass threat. I mean, 17 for 29, 186, a touchdown, and an interception. But other than that, teams are really just shutting down that run and making him throw because, as Joe said, really the only target he's got right now is Mark Andrews. And, I mean, the second leading receiver the other day was a man that hasn't caught a pass in a few years named Des Bryant. 4 catches, 28 yards. That's your second leading receiver. That is absolutely atrocious. He's not using Hollywood Brown. He's not utilizing Willie Snead. These guys can't get open. I am definitely worried about this Ravens offense. Now, that being said, their defense had been playing well, but the offense, isn't really giving them anything to work with, not being able to put more points on the board. I was just waiting the other day because I had a little wager. Shout out Jay the Plug. I lost that wager. I got to eat some sour candy now. But I was waiting for that Derrick Henry run to happen. The guy's been a little down, a small little bit down. Everybody overreacted to the way Derrick Henry's been playing lately. Listen, it's Derrick Henry. He's going to bust it open. And that's what he did, especially in the second half. The man has been a second half monster this year. Everybody should know the Titans are going to run it down your throat the second half. And I think Baltimore knew that, and they still couldn't stop it. So for me, I'm definitely panicking on the Ravens a little bit right now. I'm not overly panicking, but they got a lot of work to do.
Only Derrick Henry would get crap and not having a good season, even though he's leading the league in rushing yards and has the third most touchdowns in the league. What is going on?
I know. It's the most blasphemous thing I've ever heard is like the league's leading rusher is getting crapped on for having a couple down games. It's the same thing they were doing to Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson showed up and showed out the other night.
Right.
The only thing you can criticize Derrick Henry for is that hairstyle. That long turd sticking out of the back of his helmet is a bit tough to look at. But as far as on the field, he dominates. And I agree with you, Nick. Like, everybody knew that run was coming at the end. Everybody knew it. It comes every game. Even if you're stymieing that run game, you can only do it for so long, and he's going to bust through. The Titans, let's give the Titans a little bit of love. They bounced back. I was in panic mode for them. They bounced back. I feel good.
Yeah, you should. You should feel good. And I kind of like the turd. I think it kind of is his identity. Come on, man. He's nothing without that little turd in the back of his head. But anyway, like the Titans closed out and they needed a win and they went back. Speaking of their identity, they went back to Derrick Henry, which is why they're so good. Run first, ground and pound. And that's why he's one of the best rushers in the league. And probably the craziest thing that happened past Sunday, Miami versus the Broncos. The Broncos defeat the Dolphins 20-13, snap their 5-game winning streak. Dolphins go to 6-4. The Bills on a bye week won the week. Every single AFC team lost. So they're down in the middle of the game here. And Brian Flores decides that 3 weeks ago, he's going to go and get Tua in here. Tua started 3-0. And he's going to bench him in this game. What in the world? Benches him. 1 touchdown, 0 picks, 83 yards. I know, he struggled. And what do rookie quarterbacks do? They struggle. They had a bad game. Their defense didn't play well either. They shouldn't have gave up 20 points in the first place against Drew Lock and a bunch of injury-prone players. So to bench Tua, I don't even have a lot of words for it. It's going to be a disaster. And Flores, I mean, he had my word going into this week, but I think I just lost faith in him just because of that decision, because he panicked. He absolutely panicked. And I don't know what the future is with Tua and the Dolphins, but why do you go and get a guy 5th overall and just spend that draft capital for a guy that the head coach doesn't even trust? He trusts a 37-year-old journeyman who's been in the league for 16 years, never played playoff game in his whole entire life, and he's been on half the teams in the league for a reason, because he's not that good. He's exciting. He's great for the NFL, but why in the world are you going to cause this drama? I am lost. Brian, I know we've talked about it before. What is going on in Miami?
I've got a bone to pick with Brian Flores. First of all, he's given all us Brians a bad name. He was by far my front runner for Coach of the Year, and then absolutely crapped his pants. That's absolutely ridiculous. I know the elevation's pretty high up there in Denver, 1 mile, but Jesus, I mean, it's unbelievable, to be perfectly honest with you. And you said you're losing faith. What do you think his rookie quarterback and the rest of his locker room feels like? At the first sign of any trouble, he pulls the plug. Your 5th overall draft pick, franchise rookie quarterback, hasn't even thrown an interception yet, and you benched him. That's absolutely not just incompetent, but egregious. Defensive coaches stay scared. It's unreal. They are so scared of anything unknown that he's going to go with a 37-year-old quarterback that throws an interception in the end zone to lose the game. And that's just poetic justice. He absolutely deserved it. He deserves all the blame in the world. I hope he bounces back. I think he is that kind of coach, but he better take ownership of it, because that's an absolute joke. What happens when Tua finally does throw one interception? Are they just going to cut him?
Brian, I totally get where you're coming from. And what is the point of bringing Tua in and making this decision for having him to be the starter when the team's 3-3? And granted, the kid's played great since he came in, but it was a big emotional thing, as you guys alluded to. It was a lot for Fitzpatrick to give up the reins and for Tua to come in. It was a big story. And you play this safe with him? I get it. He's the future of your franchise. He's your franchise quarterback, but it just has the feel of, we have to protect the fragile China doll that is Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, he got sacked 6 times, but as Brian said, he hasn't turned the ball over. Now, there is a little concern to be had with Tua. Like, they're not calling any running plays. Again, they're playing him safe. He's not escaping the pocket as much. No rushes, no yards, not doing anything with his legs, really, besides getting away from a couple tackles. Although, as I said, he got sacked 6 times, so he's really not escaping much. You know, I just don't get the decision. If you're going to make this huge national news decision, emotional decision with Fitzpatrick, why the hell would you shake this kid's confidence and take him out halfway through the game? Just because, by the way, his completion percentage wasn't terrible. He was just over 50% passing. He just wasn't getting a lot of yards with it. He threw for less than 90 yards. But again, I just think they're being way too cautious. What the hell's the point of making the decision then? Why not just wait till next year? Just befuddles me, man.
I mean, I'm lost for words. I don't really understand it. He said that he did, in fact, get benched because of poor play, but he's moving forward with him as their starter. So this doesn't make any sense. So when he plays bad again, they're just going to bench him. What if they're in the playoffs? What are they going to put Fitzpatrick in? Like, come on, man. You're 6-4. You're right in it. It doesn't make any sense. And everyone that's feeling bad for Fitzpatrick that they made a bad decision in the first place, no, they didn't. He's 37 years old. Like, why do people think Ryan Fitzpatrick is elite? He's never been in the playoffs, dude. He's barely played 16 games in his career. I love him to death. Don't get me wrong, but I have seen him throw 6 interceptions against my team. So I do have a little unfinished business with him. And speaking of that team, thankfully the Dolphins play the Jets this Sunday. So Tua bounce back. I don't even care at this point. The Jets are 0-10. I would love to see him bounce back, because prove the haters wrong. This guy's getting hate. Why in the world do you draft him 5th overall? No idea what's going on. Leave it up to Miami. Finally having everything going their way, and they're just going to screw it up like they always do. Like, they're not a good franchise. When's the last time Miami's been good? They're finally there, but damn, man, they're about to ruin everything. But anyway, before we get into another big tangent, because that's just ridiculous news, we're going to go into Sunday, Titans versus the Colts. These two teams met 2 weeks back on Thursday Night Football, and the Colts really shocked me. 34-17, they defeated them, and then they go in and beat the Packers in that thriller game. And I got the Colts rolling again with the Titans. They're at home this time, and as long as Phillip Rivers doesn't throw interceptions, this team is going to be extremely dangerous. A great defense, great young weapons on offense. Michael Pittman Jr. looks like an absolute star. This is a kid I was really high on coming out of the draft out of USC, and he is looking like that star. T.Y. Hilton is irrelevant at this point. And I would like to see them get Jonathan Taylor going more, but Nyheim Hines has been just a great dual threat running back, running and catching the football, super athletic. You see the flips. I'm going the Colts, but I think it's going to be a great game. Who are you going with, Brian? Are you taking your Titans here or what?
Yeah, I'm going with the home team. Even though they aren't playing at home, right? They're my home team. The Titans, the team I like. They're getting revenge. I do also like Michael Pittman Jr., a USC guy, and he's really being a big difference for that Colts offense that was struggling to find explosive plays. He's providing that. But I think Rivers throws a couple interceptions. Derrick Henry breaks a long run in the fourth quarter that we've gotten so used to. Titans get revenge.
I hate to disappoint you, Brian. After what I saw them do to the Packers the other day and come back in the manner that they did, I got to go with the Colts. Again, that defense is incredible. Darius Leonard killing it as always. But like you said, Joe, Michael Pittman Jr., he looks great, man. He looks absolutely outstanding. Taking that little out to the house for a 44-yard score, man. It was just really fun to see him get his first touchdown and that burst of speed that has only really been talked about until we saw it the other day. And I got to give a little love to Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was running hard and downhill the other day against the Packers. And I think he's a big part of why they ultimately pulled off that game, picking up a few huge first downs. And again, Phillip Rivers has to not turn the ball over. He almost did. He was really close in the end zone to giving up a safety, fumbling the ball, but luckily he got his arm forward a little bit. But to me, the Titans are one of those slow starting teams. And again, they're going to want to feed Derrick Henry in that second half and get him going. Can the Titans get Derrick Henry going in the first half against these Indianapolis Colts? Not really. They kind of made Aaron Jones irrelevant the other day, and I feel like they're going to do the same thing to Derrick Henry.
I think just as long as they go to their running style. I mean, they failed to do that on Thursday when they played them 2 weeks back, but we'll have to see. And the Colts were another team I was wrong about because similar to the Rams, I don't like the quarterback. I don't like Rivers, but again, what do I know? I failed.
Let me just elaborate on that Colts take. I don't mean to make Derrick Henry completely irrelevant, but I don't think he's going to be the reason that the Titans win the game.
That's fair enough. I mean, you're going against one of the best defense in the league, and I'm excited to see it. And like I was saying, I mean, the Rams and the Colts, two teams I didn't like coming in, both 7-3. So, and I really like the Colts. They kind of remind me, this might be a stretch, but the 2015 Broncos. I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl. I'm just saying how they're structured with an old quarterback that is clearly done. They had in Peyton Manning, more of a manager. That's what you're looking at. Phillip Rivers, a really stingy defense. Both of them have a really good head coach. I love myself some Frank Reich. So we'll have to see, and we're going to take it to the main event, the Buccaneers versus the Chiefs. And the Chiefs came off of an electrifying win against the Raiders on Sunday night. The Bucs disappointing on Monday night. And I think the Bucs lose back-to-back games for the first time this year. I do not see them beating the Chiefs. It's just a different animal, and I'm really worried about the Buccaneers secondary. Jared Goff threw 375 yards. What is Patrick Mahomes going to do? He might do better. We could see a 400-yard performance. He is absolutely the MVP. He's incredible. I am taking the Chiefs here without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs too. I just, listen, the Chiefs defense is not going to be the reason the Chiefs win this game. It's going to come down to Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Demarcus Robinson. That whole offense is, I just feel like they're going to shred the Bucs defense a little bit like we saw Jared Goff do on Monday Night Football. And again, like you said, Joe, I don't see a way in which the Bucs win this game. The only thing I'm going to be watching extensively is how much can they protect the Buccaneers, protect Tom Brady, and get Ronald Jones going. That'll make the difference in this game, in my opinion. But I'm going with the Chiefs.
The key is going to be the Buccaneers running game. If they get Ronald Jones going, it's going to be a shootout, a la what we saw between Mahomes and Brady when Brady was still with the Patriots. And that's what I'm hoping for, an absolute great game that's going to come down to who gets the ball last. But at this point, with Tom Brady being 43 and Patrick Mahomes being right in his prime, I think you've got to go with the guy in his prime and Patrick Mahomes. If you guys were watching that game against the Raiders on Sunday Night Football, I think everybody knew once the Raiders scored, it was like, all right, congratulations for getting the lead. You are now going to proceed to lose. And I would expect a similar result with the Chiefs and the Bucks.
I think everyone in the world knew Mahomes was going to win that game. The Raiders probably just should have turned their TV off at that point. You can't count this guy out. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for Married to the Game. Excited to see what comes this Sunday. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at The Ryan Show and also at Married to the Game on Instagram. We're going to start uploading our episodes on YouTube. Until next time, so long.